Hello, everyone. Welcome as you're getting started and signing in. We're using a new platform today, so this is exciting for everyone. I'm so excited to have this new platform. Love to know how it goes for all of you as you're jumping in and as we wrap things up later as well. I'm going to go ahead and throw a poll on, trying to test out all of our features. Would love to know what is your favorite, either the beach or the mountains, both because we're curious and we're trying to, have all these engaging features of our new platform. So it's exciting. It should pop up in just a moment. And then we can see everyone's answers as well. See, do we have more beach people here, more mountains people? I know I'm a beach fan personally. My husband's a mountains person. He wants to hike in the mountains all day, every day. This is super cool. Awesome. Well, as people are jumping in, I'm just going to give us one more minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. We have Adrienne, Jennifer, and Matt here with us today to talk all about their favorite features that have been released in the last year and just features that we want to make sure that you know about. And then we'll also chat through upcoming features. And then we have some Q&A. As we know, we'll have lots of questions as well. So it should be a fun time for everybody to just learn more about what's happening with Firefly. All right, give us another second here. Keep the poll. If you haven't answered the poll, you can do that at any time. And then I see some in the comments, mountains. And then all of your questions, you can throw them into the chat. I love that they're already coming in, and we will be sure to, we're going to do Q&A at the end, so we'll be sure to answer all of your questions as well. All right. Bring this back up. So just a little bit, I already said this, but for those of you jumping in, what to expect for today, we're going to talk through our favorite features. You get to hear right from Adrienne, Jennifer, and Matt. They're in Firefly all day, every day with you guys. And so they have some of their favorite features that have been exciting. Both they get to influence features as they're being built with our dev team and then get to play with them and use them with you as well. We're going to share what's coming soon, what's in testing, and then some resources to keep your eye out on it as they were hoping through the summer to keep launching exciting things for you. All right, I'm going to bring Jennifer onto the stage, and we're going to go ahead and talk about Jen's favorite features.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer. I'm one of the customer success managers here, and thanks for having me, Katie. I'm going to share a few of my favorite features. One of them is coupons. And so let me share my screen with you and show you the great features that we've got in here. So a lot of our parks ask us, how can we extend a discount for maybe first responders or military or like Good Sam, AAA, someone who might have a membership card, or even a return guest. Maybe they want to put it in their post-arrival email or post-departure email that says, please come back, here's a discount for you. So you're going to go to settings and then to the coupons, and you're going to create that coupon. You're going to put a description here. I already have this one kind of made up. Actually, let me go back to one of them that I already do have made up. Military. So you can have 10% or dollars. I'm going to choose percent for today. You can make it for the date of the reservation or the date of the booking. So maybe you want to get bookings in January. So you want people to use that coupon in January only. So you can change those dates in here. Right now, I don't have an end date, but if you did want to have an end date for that coupon, you can put that when it expires. You can apply your discounts to either add-ons, the lock fees, but we see typically units being discounted. Let's say you are okay with discounting every day of the week, or maybe you don't want to include Fridays and Saturdays in your discounts because those are your busiest days anyway. I'm just going to keep it like that for now. You can have a minimum nights and stays. Let's say that discount only applies if they stay 2 nights, but no more than 7. You can put all those parameters in there. You can make it for maybe just your standard reservations or only your ongoing. So you have the choices to do that. And you can even just discount maybe just your cabins. Maybe you're having a hard time moving your cabins or your deluxe spaces. So you can choose those as well. We'll just select all. You can even have blackout dates. So maybe you don't want 4th of July week to be included in those coupons. You can enter those blackout dates here. Another option you can have with your coupons is whether you show it in the drop down in the reservation portal. Maybe you're going to let your guest choose the discount that they can apply for, or maybe you want to limit the number of times the coupon can be used. Maybe you have a coupon code that you might like for a return guest. You might have them put in that military or that coupon code. And maybe you want to require a membership number. So if you're doing Good Sam and you require a membership number, you can also require that. It won't validate it, but it will allow them to put that in so that way you can check it upon their arrival. For a guest making a reservation online, on their last page of the checkout, it's going to ask them what discount they want to use. So maybe they want to use that Good Sam discount. It's going to show up here. That Good Sam I did require a membership number, so it's going to require that before they complete that reservation. Let's say, oops, sorry about that. I set up my part a while ago, or my reservation a while ago, so it did expire on me. But I'm just going to quickly make a new one. Sign my policies. I apologize for this. All right, back to that coupon page. Again, if they choose military discount, maybe you don't want them to apply or make them input their ID or anything like that. It'll show the guest where the coupon is applied. The other option is to make them put in a coupon code. So maybe for those return guests, you're going to make them enter a coupon code, and then they can apply that. And then again, there's their, they can see that the coupon was applied. If you're making an internal reservation, let's say someone's at the front desk and trying to make a reservation, the staff can also apply that discount. They can just under, let's see, here's their reservation, their total. Down here, there's the discounts that are available to them to use. If they did put the one that required ID, they would have to put the ID in, but the other two, they would not be prompted to do anything. And then there's that membership ID that they would have to put in. Let's say you have a guest that came in and didn't realize they could apply for a coupon and they've already paid. You can apply that coupon after the fact. You could just go into their reservation here and go under charges. Click on that charge and that payment, and you could apply that coupon. You can just pick which one you want to apply. And now they've overpaid, which is fine. You can always refund that amount that they overpaid, refund that partial amount, and it'll tell you how much they overpaid. And it could be back to that original card. Let's say you applied a coupon and they didn't bring their card and you think that you want to take away that coupon, you could always remove that coupon by those 3 dots, and you can remove that. And of course, we always have reports, and you can have a report on that coupon usage. You'll just put filter in for, let's say, the year, show the certain coupons that you use, and you can run that. And then you'll have like a little dashboard under your coupons, what percentage it is, the description, how many times it's used, and whether it's active. So if you had an expiration on there, it would show that it was inactive. And that is one of my first favorite features. And I'm going to go jumping into my second one, which would be our SMS texting. I've got 3 adult children. We text all the time. Sometimes when we go camping, I don't look at my emails. I don't want to, and I'd rather look at texts. Some parks choose that. It is an addition to your Firefly. So if you wanted to add it, you would just go into your account manager and click on the SMS package. There are different prices that you can add. I would say start with the lowest. If you're just using it, let's say for weather or just for those pre-arrival texts, you can choose how you want to use it. Your next step would be you choose a phone number. You put in your area code. They give you about 20 to choose from. So it would be a different phone number to use. And then you have your own SMS templates. These are identical to the email templates that would go out. So you can go in and choose to send or not send certain email template or SMS templates. So maybe you don't want them all to go out. You can choose that. But good ones to go out might be a new reservation, upcoming reservation. And then, of course, my favorite is weather alerts. That's what I see a lot of people using them for. So you can make a custom template. I made one for weather alert for wind. And so if you would like to text everybody in your park all at once, you would just go under guests, SMS, message guests, and you can put in the date range. Let's say I want to put in everybody that's going to be in the park for the next 2 days when that weather alert's coming. You can filter down to certain types of units or types of reservations. But if I want to text everyone in the park, I can filter that and select all. If they don't show up, that means they either don't have a phone number in there or they've opted out. And then you can choose a template. I'm going to choose my weather template. And then you can send a test message to yourself, or you can just send the message out to everyone in your park. So I'm going to go ahead and send that weather alert out, and everyone will get there. You will get a message if anything has failed. So you'll be able to see that. And you can maybe reach out to those individuals by themselves. You also have an SMS center that is also under guests. So these are going to list all the texts that you went out or that went out and all the ones that came in. You can click on a conversation and you can see which ones went out. And you can also receive text from your guests. Somebody may be responding to you, asking you a question, and you can also get alerts on that to see or when you've read them. I'm sorry, it's not on this page. We have a little icon here that will show you that you have unread messages, and you can set that up. Let's see, under notifications on when you can get those messages or get notifications when a guest messages you. You can have a window of when you want to receive them. So let's say they text you at midnight, but you don't want to receive it right at midnight. You can have a window of when you want to get those notifications. And that is it for my SMS texting. And my last one that I love, and I always get the aha moment when I show new parks, are policies. You have the ability to enter your policies and have your guests sign them. That will be under settings and policies. You can have as many policies as you want. To click on new policy, you'll give it a title. You'll give it your policies here, and you can even click whether it is for standard or ongoing. So let's say you have just a policy for those long-term guests, or maybe you have just a policy for your cabins. You can choose that. You can choose whether it has to be accepted individually. That means it'll have a little box on its own that they will need to check to set that they've acknowledged it. Or let's say your pet policy is only if someone has chosen that they are bringing their pets. If it's to an add-on, let's say you have golf cart rentals, you can have that policy just restricted to that specific add-on. So maybe you've got a waiver that you need them to sign for those golf carts. And now on our reservation grid, you'll be able to see whether those policies have been signed or not signed. There's an icon that shows. this guest did not sign their policies. That means that they probably had their reservation was made internally, because if a guest made a reservation online, they all will be required to sign those policies. And so this one has signed their policies. You can also see in their reservation itself on the policy tab, if they've got a green check mark, they've signed their policies. And if you wanted to see it, you can click there. If a reservation was made internally, they'll be prompted, they'll get an email that says, please go to your portal and sign your policies. But let's say they show up to your park and they did not sign their policies yet. You have the action to email them right then and there. You can ask them, is this a good email? And then you can email their policies to them and they'll be prompted to sign. Let's say a reservation was made a year ago and you've updated your policies since then. You may get an exclamation point. That means that they have not seen your updated policies, and you also have that action of emailing them the policies to sign, those updated policies. And that is it for my top 3 features. At the end, we'll go through and answer all those questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer. SMS, we've had questions, like Jennifer said, we'll be sure to answer those. We're going to do a bunch at the end, but I did add the link if you're curious about the SMS add-on. If it is an add-on, so you can see more on the pricing on the link in the chat. And then now we have Matt's favorite features. So Matt, go ahead and take it away.
Hey guys. Hey Katie. Thanks for letting me join too. So I have a few favorite features in here. Let me share my screen. I'll show you guys a couple of these. 1 second here. The first one being the advanced grid. So this is something that came out last year, and I have noticed that a bunch of parks don't use this yet. So the classic grid is still there. It's just more streamlined. Some parks might prefer that. But this here, as you can see, allows more for color coding. And then you can see all these different icons associated with each and every one of the features. Have they signed the policies? Did they have a balance due? What is the source of the reservation? So all those things, I'm going to show you just the colors on here first, and then I'll show you where to go to make these changes. The first thing is, you can see there's 4 different colors that will designate, well, depending on what you choose. You can have the colors based on their balance, whether or not they have a balance. You can have the colors based on just a on and off, whether or not they're checked in or checked out. And I'll show you those options in a second. What I've chosen here is I want it to be based on their payments. The colors that I've chosen, I want to be based on the payments. You'll see 4 different colors here. The first one is, we had an internal argument about what color this is. So mustard, brown, orange, whatever you want to call this first color here. This indicates that they're partially paid. So it's not overdue. They've partially paid for their reservation. That's what that color is. The gray ones, that means that they have not paid yet, but it's not overdue quite yet. So they might just not have gotten there. It might not be due quite yet. The green indicates they're all set to go. They're paid, they're ready. And then the red obviously indicates they have an overdue payment. So that's really helpful just to see those sorts of things at a glance. You don't have to jump into the reservation to see those things. You also can see that there is a bar along the top of each reservation here. You'll see some are green, some are red. I'll show you those things in a second. What I have that associated with is their check-in status. So you can also fiddle around with that color coding too. So green means they're checked in, red means they're not checked in quite yet. So this person comes in today, I can quickly see from a glance that they have not checked in quite yet. So let me take it to in the settings. If you go into settings and reservation grid, this is where you can decide whether or not you have that classic grid or the expanded grid. And one other thing that's also helpful here in and of itself is just the fact that you can make the cells bigger. You can make the columns bigger. You can make the text bigger. So that's helpful for some parks in and of itself. Then it comes to the actual settings here. And this is what I mean about color coding. So right now you can't choose your own colors, but you can choose what you're basing the color coding off of. So I'm basing it off of the balance due. You could base it off of their check-in status or even their reservation type if you have ongoing versus standard, if you have a little bit of both at your park. Same thing goes for the border. I've chosen, as I showed you, to make that based around their check-in status. Green means checked in, red means not checked in. And then the icons, you also get to choose what exactly these icons are associated with, and which ones are relevant to you. So you can see here, we don't have lock fees at this park. We're not really having the guests attach anything to the reservation. We're not really attaching anything to their reservation. These are the ones I'm not worried about. And then these are some items that I do want to see just by hovering over a reservation right there on the grid. Everything from their check-in status to whether or not they have a reservation note, whether or not they're using a rate qualifier. And then another good one, another important one is whether or not they've signed their policies. If you have most of your reservations being made by the guest online, that's not as big of a deal because they have to sign the policies right then and there anyway. But if you guys are making reservations internally, this is helpful to have on here because you can just hover over the reservation and you can quickly see if they have signed for their policies. So that's one feature. I think that's a great improvement, and it's great for some parks. Some parks prefer the classic, but I think it keeps it streamlined while also allowing you to dig into everything without even clicking on the reservation. The next feature I'll show you guys quickly is dynamic pricing. So I'm going to take into a reservation, or excuse me, into a unit where I already do have a dynamic rate put in place, just to show you a couple options here. So when you pull up your units, you can see the rates here. There's your standard rates. And some of you may have used special rates for things like rate qualifiers or holiday weekends or things like that. But that's also where you're going to use the dynamic pricing as well. So if I go in here, I can show you guys, I can pull it up for you. And the other important thing to keep in mind about the pricing is the system will always look for special rates first. It's always going to look for those dynamic rates first. So I made a couple occupancy-based rates for our peak season. It doesn't mean I have to change the dates around on my standard daily rate. You can see here that started in February. I don't have to put an end date on that in June and then start up my peak season. This will override. The special rates will override standard rates if they apply to the same rate, the same dates like this. So in my example here, during the high season, I just wanted to make sure that based on the occupancy, if we have lots of room left, which is the other rate, if I have a lot of room left, if it's less than 80% full, I want the price to be a little lower just to incentivize more people to book. So that's what I've done here. To get to that dynamic pricing, you come right in here. When you go into a rate, you click on Show Advanced Rate Options. And this is where you can base a rate off of something like a rate qualifier, like a military rate or a senior citizen rate, something like that. But there's also these other options too that a lot of people don't know are in here, including occupancy. So in my case here, I said, I'm basically telling the system, if it's less than 80% full, if the park is less than 80% full, I want to pass this 125 rate along. That's what I want to charge. As you can see here, you do have the option of basing the occupancy by the class. So this is a deluxe site. If I just wanted to make this all based around only deluxe sites and not just the occupancy of everything, including tent sites, I could do that too. So basically I said, if it's less than 80% full, let's push them that $125 rate. If it's more than 80% full, let's push them $150 rate. And that you can see here. Now, the other options here that you can use that are also considered dynamic are if you wanted to base it around the equipment, if you wanted to base it around the RV length, if you wanted to base it around the number of nights in the stay, whether that be a minimum or a maximum. But the one that I've chosen here today, which I see more people using, and that's why we wanted to show this, is occupancy-based pricing. And now you can do it by class. We didn't used to have that in there. It used to just be the entire park. So that is dynamic pricing. And then the one last thing here, another great feature is that people, again, don't know about. We only have a couple parks that are using this so far, is gate integration. So work with a company called iNext Tech. This is just a snapshot from their website here. And I'll show you where you can go to connect this. But this company basically, as you can see in the pictures here, it's a software that will go in and cross-reference Firefly and check if a reservation is valid. It'll check using a camera. It'll check the license plate, and based on if it decides that is valid, it'll open the gate and off they go. If it's not valid, maybe someone's coming in on the wrong day, or they're trying to check in at 8 a.m. instead of 3 p.m., the gate won't open for that particular license plate. So it's a really nice feature that, as I said, a couple parks are using so far. And the way that you can set this up is within your account, within the add-ons. So if you go into your account, click on your name in the top right corner, click on your account, and then you'll see it here, add-ons. There it is there, iNext Tech, Gate, and Visitor Management. You'll enable that, and then like some of you have done with Reserve America and other integrations in there, you'll come to Settings, Integrations, and that's where this is going to live. That's where you can enable this in the system. So here it is here, and that's where you can turn that on. A couple other things to mention about that, though. We do have an info sheet about this. We could send you guys. It's on our knowledge base as well. It's connected to the article there. Basically, the way that you can make this work, a couple tidbits about this is, number one, you can require a license plate to be put in as part of your settings within Firefly. And that's how you can basically force that as part of the reservation process. Another thing that people ask about at first is, what about my staff? So for staff, no problem there. iNext Tech actually has their own software on the back end. So you'll get your own login there, and you can basically give individual staff access on the back end so that the gate will open for them as well. So it's not like you're going to have to put them in the system as a reservation or anything like that. The other thing is pricing. So as you saw in the add-on, it's $15 a month that's the subscription, but it's based on, and then there's the cost of the hardware and iNext Tech itself, which that just varies by the size of the park. So that's just on a case-by-case basis. And we're happy to connect you with those guys, but it's a really great feature, utilizes cameras that they will take care of the hardware and all that stuff, and they'll show you how you can connect that and utilize that for just ease of use, for security reasons, for anything like that, really. So it's a really great feature. And that's about it. Those are the features I wanted to show you for today. And just let me know, like Jen said at the end, if you guys have questions about those. I'm happy to answer those.
Thank you so much, Matt. Yeah, and just echoing again, as he said, I know we have questions coming through, so keep on sending them. We will try to get to as many as we can at the end of this. And then if we don't get to your question, we get a breakdown of all of the questions. So we will follow up with you afterwards as well. Adrian, take it away.
All right. Hi, I'm Adrian. I think I know most people here too. So the three features I want to talk about, the top one for me is the cancellation rules. I also want to share the offline payments addition that we added, which I don't think a lot of people realize is in there, and of course our OTAs. So I'm going to get started with the cancellation rules. This is something I wanted in both of our previous softwares that we got to put into Firefly, and I am so excited that we got this all set up. So basically what you can do now, if you haven't set it up already, is under settings, units, and cancellations, you can add cancellation rules into the system so that Firefly knows how to kind of automate that whole cancellation process. You can have different cancellation rules for different units. So if you wanted something different, say for cabins versus campsites, for short-term stays versus long-term stays, you can do all of that. This is just a simple setup that I have in mind. So for example, mine is if you are canceling more than 7 days in advance, what I'm doing is I'm charging an $18 cancellation fee, and I am not refunding my reservation fee, and I'm not refunding my lock fee. That $350 reservation fee, if you're passing it on to the guest, remember that is a fee that you don't get back if they cancel. So usually we recommend making sure that is non-refundable. And the lock fee as well. If you're doing a lock fee, just remember you're holding that specific site for the guest. So generally that's also non-refundable. So in the refund rules, you just decide what you're refunding, how much you're refunding, also how you're refunding it. So if we look here, for example, I'm keeping $18 that they've paid towards their reservation unit and putting the rest of it back on the original payment method, which most of the time is going to be credit card. But if you are a park that doesn't want to really give refunds, you can have it refund automatically to a reservation credit as well. So you can really customize what you're doing here. Now in this rule, you can see my minimum days to arrival is 7. You can also customize days and stay. So maybe I only want this to apply to short-term stays. So I could say, okay, well, this only applies if you're staying under 28 nights. You can also scroll down here and show advanced cancellation options. And you could say, okay, if it's during a holiday weekend, you get no refund. So you can have different cancellation rules for different times of the year. So that's all available within the rules here. Now, I also did a less than 7 days in advance rule where, if we'll take a look at this, where I'm only refunding 50%, and I'm refunding it to a reservation credit. So in my case, if they cancel less than a week in advance, I'm going to keep half of their deposit, and then the other 50% they can use at a later date for reservation credit only. So lots of different ways you can work with that. Now let's see what it looks like when you actually go to cancel it. So I'm just going to go to my grid. And let's say poor Mary here has called me up and she says, you know what, I just can't make it. And I say, okay, no problem. So this really simplifies the process, especially for your clerks. You just go to options here. You hit cancel reservation. It brings up our little cancellation screen. And you'll know if you do not have rules set up, if it says here that there are no rules set up. So it's a good indication that this part hasn't been done in your setup yet. Automatically, it's going to send the reservation cancellation notifications. It'll email them and give them the, oh, sorry that you're not coming email. It will send a payment receipt if they're getting a refund. And it will generate the final invoice that you can print or email after, but it won't send or do anything automatically with the invoice. Here you can see it's figuring out the rules. So I have my $18 cancellation fee. So it's telling me here what I'm refunding and what I'm not refunding. So if we look at the bottom, we can see how much is refundable and how much is non-refundable. Now, maybe Mary told me a really, really sad story, and I said, okay, fine, I'll refund the security deposit, even though normally we don't. You can override it on a case-by-case basis. You can also override how you're refunding it. And in the user settings, you can control which clerks have access to doing this. So you might not want your seasonal staff that's just coming in for a few months to be able to override the cancellation rules, and that's fine. But maybe you want your assistant manager and your manager to be able to do so. So you can give them those permissions, but take it away from regular staff members. So whatever works for your park. So we just make sure that everything here looks good. And once we're happy with it, we hit cancel reservation. That's going to do everything for us. We don't have to do anything else to it. You can see it's marked it here as canceled. And if I go to charges, it's zeroed everything out for me as well. So you can see my refunds are here. All the charges are zeroed. That's it, all said and done. If I go to the notifications tab, you can see here, oh, I don't have an email on this one. Sorry, this is a fake account. Normally you would be able to see that the cancellation email was sent. And the invoice, it generated it here. So you can see it generated it. So if I did want to email it, I could. Or if you're a park that likes to print the cancellations, you could click on it to view it and print it from here as well. So whatever works. But that is the cancellation feature. Like I said, I was so excited that we got this one in here. So if you don't have it set up in your park, I would highly encourage you to do so. We're happy to help you with it. And just make sure as well that whatever your cancellation rules are, that you have those reflected in your policies, just so that people can't say, oh, I didn't know, and that you have to refund more than you really needed to. So that's the cancellation rules. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is the offline payments. So I'm just going to run in here to the POS really quick. We're going to ring up a couple things. And let's say we go to add payment. And this is true for whether it's campsite stays, add-ons, POS, doesn't matter. It's the same everywhere. This is just an easy way to access it. But when we go to payment method and we select credit debit card, you'll notice that there's always been a collect offline option. Now, what the collect offline option does is it allows you to say that the person paid you by credit card without actually running it through the processor. Now, if you're just migrating to Firefly and putting payments in, that's super handy. If you haven't been set up to be integrated with one of our processors yet, that can be handy. But 9 times out of 10, we probably don't want to use this because that means we're not actually collecting the money. And unfortunately, I have seen many clerks not really know what it means or not really paying attention to what they're clicking and put in a payment as offline, and then the park doesn't get the money for it. So what we've put into the system now is the ability to turn off that option. So if you never want collect offline or enter offline as an option in your system, we're going to go to settings here on the left. We're going to go to property, and we'll click on payments and charges. And if you scroll down just a little bit here past all the processors, you'll see that there's a checkbox that says turn off offline payments. So if you checkmark that, offline payments is no longer an option, and that mistake cannot be made. This is a global setting, no one can override it. So if there was a situation where you really did have to put in an offline payment, you could turn it off, turn back on, however you want to say it, that checkbox, do the offline payment, and then check it again. So you could do that in a pinch if you really had to, but I would assume that most people do not want that as an option. So go ahead and turn that off in here. And while we're in this payments and charges settings, one more thing I do want to mention is this little checkbox that says require payment method on file. Now, all the new parks that are coming on, I have been recommending to turn this on. And what this does is this means that somebody must have a credit card on file before they put a new card on. So especially if you're a long-term park, this prevents someone from going into their guest portal, removing their credit card, and peacing out. If this is turned on, they have to put in a new credit card before a new valid credit card before they're able to remove the old one. So just a little bit of protection there, which I don't think a lot of people realize where that is. So again, under payments and charges in your property settings, these are the two checkboxes I would highly recommend turning on. Now, the last feature I'd like to talk about is our OTAs. So we are working on getting integrated with lots of great companies to work with. Of course, our first big one is Reserve America. So if you go to settings, integrations, of course, mine is a fake park, so I'm not going to connect it because no one wants to stay at my park that doesn't exist. But settings, integrations, campground management, next to Reserve America, go ahead and hit connect. Reserve America is free to use for Firefly customers, so you won't be charged anything extra for being on Reserve America. Reserve America has a huge user group. So it's a website that is camper facing where they can search for campgrounds in the area that they're going to. And if you're listed on Reserve America, they're able to book right through Reserve America into your Firefly. Just make sure under settings and property that you have all of your branding info filled out here, including the property description, driving directions, and the latitude and longitude. Those 4 pieces are needed to connect to Reserve America, and they will appear on your Reserve America listing. So we want to make sure we set you up for success and we have that filled in appropriately. Also under settings and integrations, we integrate with Airbnb and coming soon Hipcamp, as well as VRBO. You would connect it here. Once you connect it to the channel, you're able to say which sites you want to see online and talk between the two places, Firefly or Airbnb, for example. You do have to have an account set up with the integrated program. So, for example, if you want to integrate Firefly with Airbnb, you do have to have an Airbnb account. You do have to have the units that you want to be cross-referencing each other, connected in both sides. But once you turn that on, if somebody books in, say, Airbnb, it shows as reserved in Firefly. If somebody books in Firefly, it shows as reserved in Airbnb. All of those do cost $350, the normal booking fee that we charge. And it is an integration that you do have to turn on. So to do that, we go to our name on the top right, we hit account, we hit add-ons, and then you're able to turn on the Firefly OTA channel management. So the great thing about that, of course, is that you don't get duplicated bookings. Just one thing to be aware of is if they paid in Airbnb, all the financial stuff stays in Airbnb. If they've paid in Firefly, all the financial stuff is within Firefly. So just be aware of kind of wherever they booked it from is where you'll handle the money, basically. But that's super exciting. Like I said, Hipcamp is coming soon, as is VRBO. So we're really excited to have these partnerships because this is just ways that people can find and book you. And that's what we want. That's what we're here for. So those are my three and a half, really, favorite new features. And if you're not using them, I highly encourage you to do so. But if you have any questions about them, let us know. Success and support are both here to help you.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Okay, I'm going to add all of us back onto the stage for Q&A. So this is exciting. Let me kick off Adrian's screen so we can all be here for questions. I'm going to start up at the top of the chat. And so just for the team, these are like kind of grouped based off of the different topics. Some don't necessarily fit into that. The first question we got, can rates be done in percentages? For example, 10% discount for weekly, 25% discount for monthly.
So no. You can set up a discount that is 15 or 25% and say, hey, once they hit this many nights, this percentage kicks in. But you would still have to select the discount. The weekly rate, you would just have to figure out what the percentage is and key it in as that price.
Awesome, thank you. Is there a setting so that online bookings is not always booking the first numerical site available?
No, I think it just takes it from your arrange units listing. And I know for the park facing side, you probably want them in numerical order to make it sense in your head, but it does just take it from that arrange units page.
Okay, and they can be rearranged if they don't want it in numerical, they want certain to show, they can rearrange that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And just for people, there is the option, this is a little different, but there is the option to just base it off class. So if you wanted to say, I want to book a deluxe site, or I want to book a tent site, it'll just give them that class unit and not an actual number.
Perfect. Is there a way to identify a first-time guest on Firefly? Ooh.
No, I think the only thing you could do is maybe set it up as a source, but that would kind of override the source.
Awesome. Is anyone having issues?
Actually, you could ask that. There's an area to have a like a custom question, and you could say, "Are you a first-time guest?" And they could answer yes or no to that. So there is a way if you're not using that. There is that custom feature.
Yeah, you can't force it though, right? So they have to decide to do it.
Someone asked the question, is anyone having issues with foreigners making reservations? No extra context on the issues that they might be running into, but could someone on the team speak into what we've seen with international bookings?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the time it's the processing of the credit card and the address match within that. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot we can do because their billing address needs to match for the processor to be like, yeah, this is safe. So the one thing we've noticed is like the address just maybe isn't matching properly, or they haven't told their bank that they're traveling, so the credit card is automatically being declined.
Perfect. Thank you. 1 second. I scrolled all the way down to see questions coming in and I lost my spot in our chat. How do we make sure an online reservation is not missed? Maybe the invoice was the question. I'm not sure necessarily what missed means. Chris, if you want to throw that in the chat to help clarify, we can help answer.
So the invoice is helpful just for you internally to see how much that Firefly is billing you guys. But you can always pull a report. If you go to reports, there's one literally called reservations report, and you can just see how many reservations were created during this time period. And then there's all sorts of other reports like arrivals report, things like that. So you're not missing anybody that's coming in that day, if that's what you meant.
There's also the new, like the reservations created report that you could check. And then, sorry, just back to the foreigner question. Jen from support just messaged me. She's like, just make sure if they're trying to book online and they're not from Canada or the United States that they're putting the country code in first. So she gave us that little tidbit. So.
Awesome. Perfect. And then this is a question around some of the features that Jen was going over. Does this process require a particular administrative level? I think it was around coupons. If I'm just looking at the timestamps for the question. The features that we talked about today, do most of them require admin?
I believe there is a user access to add coupons. I'm going to peek at it real quick.
So you have to have settings access to make a coupon, but anyone can use the coupons.
Okay, perfect. The manage settings, correct, on the user permissions.
Awesome.
And coupon report too. They have to have access to that.
Perfect. Coupons versus reservation credits for returning guests. Can you guys talk about use cases for which you would use?
So I would say reservation credit is honestly like giving someone free money. So you're basically it's not necessarily a discount. It's like, here you go, here's $50, use it as you will. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if it's set up. It is set up to go out of an expense account. So that makes sense accounting wise. You can have it auto apply when people are making a booking, whether it's online or internally. So it could be really good for that purpose. But again, there's no rhyme or reason to why it's there. You just gave it to them. With the coupons or discounts, everything is tracked. So you know what discount that you got, you know what the price beforehand was, you know why it's there. So generally speaking, I would probably suggest using a coupon unless they're just being allowed to use money they didn't get to use before they already paid you. And in which case that would be the reservation credit.
Awesome. How do we create a custom question like the one Jennifer mentioned about first-time guests? Where is that property?
I just took a screenshot. I was going to put it in the chat.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, let me keep scrolling here. Can you explain the date of use and the date of reservation? I believe this was also for coupons. It doesn't seem to work as described. So is there a difference there on the date of use versus the date of the reservation?
Oh.
I put myself on mute because I was coughing. Sorry. I think Jen's looking that up. So, date of
Sorry, I was typing something in.
reservations. Date of reservations used a lot more commonly from what I see, and that's referring to the actual stay dates. So that's more common. The date of reservation could be something like, actually, Jen told me yesterday she had someone that they wanted to bolster people making reservations in like February or something like that. So that's where you can apply the coupon to the actual date that they're making the reservation, if that helps.
And with the limits too, you could build some urgency there around, make sure the next 10, 15 people who book right now. So if it's a slower season of booking for you and you're wanting to ramp that up, that's a good way to use it. Awesome. I'm keeping scrolling here. Someone said, so they can't sign a policy in person. Can someone talk about the difference between the policies that are online versus what to do if someone is coming in person and making the reservation?
Yeah, so in person, there's no way to do it unless you have like a tablet or something that they can sign just like with their finger there. You could have printed copies that you have them sign, but there's no way to do it in person otherwise. They could do it on their phone or something though. So, I mean, whatever you can encourage them to do at the front desk.
Yeah, a lot of parks will just, if they come in, they notice they haven't signed the policies yet, they'll just explain to them, hey, if you go right in here, click on your email, click on the guest portal link, and then you can sign right on your phone. You could do it there. And then if, like Adrian said, if you have the luxury of having an extra tablet of some sort, you could have that over by the front desk just for that purpose, or just for people making their own reservations too.
You spin the monitor around,
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Is there a way to view notes without going to the notes section? I think this was during the expanded grid display.
Not that I know of. If any can correct me, I saw some heads shaking. Yeah. So as far as I understand, right now, it'll tell you like just almost like an FYI, hey, there's a note on here, but it won't tell you what the note is. That's come up with me before with a couple parks. So I can check and make sure that that's something we've submitted in the system, because I could see how that would be helpful to actually see the text.
Yeah.
Definitely. What's the best way to make a blocked site into a reservation from the grid?
You just have to right click and unblock it and then highlight it and book it. There's no faster way.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm just scrolling a little bit. Can you isolate the dynamic rates to certain days of the week?
Yep. Well, the thing is, like, because the dynamic pricing is based on like whatever, if you say Monday through Thursday is a set rate, you can just make the Monday through Thursday whatever the normal rate is, and then do the dynamic pricing rates on the weekends. So, or whatever dates you wanted.
Perfect. Somebody did ask if this was going to be sent out afterwards. Yes, it will be. This is being recorded and we will go ahead and send it out. Give us a day. Sometimes it takes a little bit to make sure we got everyone's questions and follow up. But yes, this will be sent out with all the resources that we've talked about as well. Another question, if a guest has vehicle information on their guest profile, will it pull from that into a new reservation? We've noticed the vehicle information doesn't populate from previous reservations and must be entered each time.
Yeah, it doesn't populate. We do have a ticket in to make like an import button similar to what you see on the credit cards, but at this point in time, no, it doesn't populate.
Awesome, thank you. In unit rates, is there a way to keep online reservations from booking at the monthly rates?
I can take this. I replied on there. It's a little funky though. So you can restrict people from booking ongoing reservations online in the settings, but the caveat there is that ongoing doesn't necessarily capture all the monthlies. So a standard reservation just means it has an end date. So technically someone could still book a monthly rate as a standard reservation. Ongoing just means there's no end date in sight. So what some parks I see doing is they'll do that, but then they'll also put a note on the reservation portal and just say something like, if you want to book a monthly rate, give us a call at this number. And they'll see that before they even put in dates, what they're looking for, they'll see that right at the top of the screen.
You could also do a max night rule too, and like cap
Yep.
a max night at like 28 nights. You would just have to override it on the internal end when you're making a booking.
Awesome, thank you. And then one more question, and then I want to jump into just some upcoming announcements that are exciting for everyone. Can we set up an automated timed email that goes out to guests, for example, one day before they arrive with directions to their unit, or on their checkout day, send them departure instructions?
So kind of, right, guys? So what I mean by that is you can't make your own template and then assign a time for it to go out. But we've added, if you go into settings and email templates, there's now additional templates in there. I think they say pre-stay or post-stay. And when you open up the template, it'll give you an option to say, I want this post-stay to go out the day before they leave. I want this one to go out 3 days after they leave. And same thing with pre-stay. So yes, pretty much. You just can't go in and create your own email template and assign a time.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and bring our slides back up. So a couple of fun things. Adrian talked about the OTA options that are coming soon. Hipcamp and VRBO are so close. So, and then we'll be sending out emails for those. So keep your eye out. And then those are going to be free to turn on. There's still, as Adrian mentioned, you need to have a Hipcamp account or a VRBO account, just like you have to have an Airbnb account. So for some parks, makes a lot of sense. For some parks, it might not make sense, but we want to be just the best OTA option out there. So we're very excited about those coming soon. And then we also are working on our Wild Energy smart meter integration. So if you already have those, we have a few customers who already have Wild Energy smart meters, or if you're interested in smart meters so you don't have to go around every single day or every time someone checks out around your park to look at that meter, the information is going to pull into Firefly to save you some time. So it's really cool. Similar to our other partnerships, you need to have everything set up on the Wild Energy side, but then the software integration is ready to roll. So keep an eye out for information around that. And then let me see what was next on my slide. Sorry, I forgot where my button was to change slides. Just some helpful hints or reminders as we were talking of a team, like what do we want parks to know as they're in the middle of, we know this is like busy season. We do have new user training that is fully on demand. Your clerks can use it anytime. So if you're hiring in the middle of season and you just need them to jump in and know everything there is to know about Firefly, we have that built out for you. And then on our YouTube channel, you can find all of the resources, all the live events that we've done as well. And then just as we wrap up here in the last minute, keep your eye out. We are so excited with all that we're doing here at Firefly. So as per norm, I'll send out a survey about this webinar, what you thought of it. Do you want more of it, less of it? You know, we are here to build these specifically for you to be helpful. And then we might have some upcoming beta and testing opportunities available. And as I said before, we're working on increasing our partnerships and integrations. So we're super excited about what's coming for the future of Firefly. So thank you. This has been super fun, I know, for us as we were preparing it. I hope it's been helpful for everyone as well. And keep